I can hear you now, playa.
Booyah! Boom!
What we got?
We're back. We're back.
We are. We've been dodging and weaving. We've been dodging and weaving a little bit.
I think this.
So, is that a new sign? Is that a new sign?
No.
Oh, okay. Whoa. I was like, hey, you didn't discuss. I didn't get no discussion about a fancy new sign in the new budget.
Okay. I would like to set that up. So for ARMTV Nation out there, now that you're part of, representing ARMTV Nation here.
Now that you're part of Travis Bagent Unfiltered and Beast Entertainment. Yeah, I get you.
So it's important to know that about 4 months ago, so I got let go from CrossFit. And luckily for me, my wife had a decent job. But I was trying to find video editing gigs, but between some weddings and some, freelance stuff, I was delivering groceries for Instacart, and I was on a app called WAG, where I wanted to get in some additional exercise. So I was walking dogs. I'm going to throw up some pictures of all the dogs I met. But it's important to know that if this venture, whatever this ARMTV revival is, goes anywhere, it's important for people to know where I came from. If I didn't have my wife, I potentially could be almost homeless because I was living in the Bay Area. I gave away the RV.
I don't want to intervene. However, if you didn't have your wife, you are screwed.
Yeah. True.
Wow. It's always been like that with you. First it was your mom, then your sister, then your girlfriends, wives. It's never. You're just like me. You always need a woman in your life.
Yeah. I'm not the best. Like I was going over, we aired episode 1. You said you gave me a lot of props. Thank you for that. You really said nice things about me, but I'm a hard worker, but I don't know if I'm necessarily a smart worker, and definitely not a good financial planner, not a good saver. So, I mean,
are you talking about you or are you talking about me?
Me.
Oh, okay. Because all those things that you're saying, I feel like you're talking to me.
No, it's me.
Same way about myself.
Yeah. So luckily there's structure. Like I have today 5-month-old baby Bubs. I wouldn't, if it weren't for my wife, I would not have a child. And we're in a situation where we can afford to have a child. I really wasn't like that previously. As she brings structure, responsibility. So this sign is representative of a lot. Gary Roberts is, in terms of like stability, without her, I'm a mess. So if anything comes of ARMTV, we must recognize the humble beginnings. That is Gary Roberts. So
plus, we need 7 signatures before we can purchase any new equipment for our businesses.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, that's the sign. We film now, coming in today, we filmed like 5 hours, or 6 hours, which roughly 30-minute episodes. This would be like, let's say episode 13 or something. So it could be a couple weeks before people hear what it is that we're saying today, which I kind of like. It
allows.
You know,
the problem with that for me is that I am constantly contradicting myself on a daily basis, depending on how I feel when I wake up. So there's a chance that I could be somewhere, this thing be delayed 2 weeks, me give a seminar, a talk, have a tournament, me say something, and the guy say, Travis, that doesn't make any sense. I just watched you say the complete opposite. That's how I felt 2 weeks ago. I did feel that way 2 weeks ago. Today I feel different.
I agree with you 100%. And I think that's what makes it fun. I like you know, it's human. Sometimes we hold people accountable for things that are said, like forever. It's like we should have been allowed a little, you know, a little wiggle.
I hope we are. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Not to change the subject, but I did get a phone call from the great Don Fritchie.
No, you didn't.
Yes, got a phone call.
When?
Yesterday, phone call with a voicemail is all I got. The voicemail said that he was interested in a 60 and over challenge against anyone in the United States. So let's just be completely honest about what's happened here. Don Fritchie has been notified that Gary Roberts is back in town playing videos, saying people's names, and Fritchie has now came to me as just you prerequisite before I'm sure he's going to be up in your inbox. And then we get Fritchie will be our first ever guest on the show.
So who 16 over? I like it. Bring in the old, like anyone off the bat 16 over you got matched up with him?
Bobby Bettafuco is what I hear is brewing. Bobby Bettafuco.
I like it.
Let's in New York. Okay, let's go somewhere else.
Let's put that off to stew a little bit.
Understood.
Speaking of, so last night after this aired, immediately I get a message from Paul Italia, which I guess he's new. I've seen him all over Facebook flexing, ripped as all hell. I like his energy. I like his passion. But he says to me, he starts off this message with, I hear you're the man. And, you know, I want to say, I'm like, oh, that's Travis. So I've been doing this for 6 weeks. I didn't get no messages from anybody saying, I hear you're the man. Suddenly Travis says, you're the man. So thanks for that.
No problem.
Anyways, I thought that was funny. He's like, I hear you're the man. So I wanted to reach out and introduce myself. So that's thanks to Travis Bagent.
Yeah. Hey, I will tell you this. This Paul Italia goes from saying hi to me one day to more or less telling me that he's going to beat me in like the next year and a half or something. He tells me, and I'm like, my man, relax with all that. He says, no, bro, yous don't understand. I'm like, what do you mean? He said, I am a beast. I said, no. I already got that nickname. You can't be the beast. He said, no, I'm the beast. I said, all right, you got to win at least one match. He runs up to Portland, Oregon. He's all involved in a match. I'm trying to give him some pointers here and there. He says, man, I was feeling a little sticky. I don't know if your move is for me. I said, well, tell me what happened. He said, well, I was pulling Nancy Nations, and she put the brakes on me. And I said, my man, don't call me again. Yeah. If Nancy Nations is putting the brakes on you up top, I don't know if my technique's going to work out for you. So, okay. Since then, he's discovered he's a hooker, and Paul Italia's coming to a theater near you. I'm pretty sure that this guy's not only he's going to start arm wrestling in organized tournaments, but he's going to bring a lot of juice, I think, and flavor with it too. So good new guy. So it'll be
a little story for Paul. Yeah, do you know who Derek Smith is?
I do. Beast.
He's a beast.
Beast.
Okay, so I knew him in the early days, and on ARMTV, he stated somewhere, I'm going to beat Travis Bagent one day. Now, don't say anything. Don't say anything. But he stated that, and he was like, at that time, new. Now, what's funny for me is I come back into the sport, and I see between him and his team, and on some of the YouTube videos, he's like an expert now, which is funny because it's like, I know he got good at some point, but I can't remember between me transitioning out and when he got good, but I still picture him as the new guy saying, oh, one day I want to beat Travis Bagent. But it's funny to see his.
Derek has a YouTube channel. He gives expert advice on how not to beat Travis Bagent every day.
So is he like the man now? Like
no. He will never be the man. However, he probably claims to be the #1 arm wrestler in the state of California. But the truth is he might be 1st or 5th. I mean, you got your Robbie Topes and your Tom Nelsons and your Tony Tomlinson. And then if they have to pull each other, then you get down just a little bit lower. And now you got, Vresh and a few other foreigners hanging out in California. So although I'm sure that in some people's world, being the very best arm wrestler in the state of California is a pretty damn cool thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I was reviewing some national results between the years I was gone, and I think he won a nationals at some point in those.
Well,
those
Gary,
years.
I'll tell you the same that my wife tells me. The Nationals and me are not the same as we was 10, 15 years ago.
So the Nationals is different.
I don't even know what that word means anymore. I mean, legitimately, when you came into the sport, we had just lost what really was the Nationals. And since then, there's only been a few times, I'm sure, that it's been replicated from the U.S. perspective. From other countries' perspective, when they have that damn thing in Poland and the Ukraine, it's awesome. Like I heard the one in Turkey last year was amazing. But, we had 17 Americans there. So back in the day, the Worlds was awesome, and it made the Nationals really, really awesome.
That makes me
between the years of 1993 to 2000
because I just put up the 2004 Nationals, and man, I look at that list, I'm like, oh, you were there? It's really stacked. And I spent so many years really trying to coalesce people around the Nationals, because I just thought that was a good way to advance the sport by supporting the Worlds, supporting the Nationals. And I really worked hard. So it kind of makes me sad to know that has all fallen to the wayside. Big money with the WAL probably put a kibosh on any
I wouldn't say
national titles.
It was 100% the division of when Frank and Karen and Bob O'Lear and the East Coast Arm Wrestling had the national championships that led into the WAF up until 2000. It was just ridiculously amazing.
So you're saying it was better during that period than when I was around?
Yes, we had started losing it, and honestly, it was only Karen. It was probably Denise and Leonard's. If you were in 2004, their first Worlds was in 2000. Well, that was also the last year of the other Worlds. So that was 1 year where they had both of them. And I'm telling you right now, if I sent you a list of the 2000 U.S. national team, it was loaded. Every single weight class had what most likely is our 2 best guys. Except for a couple, John Brzezink's not there, but besides that, it was awesome.
We're going to have to save that one for another day, because some people out there are going to be lost on this topic.
Understood.
But so we'll get into that, but I am intrigued by what you're saying. But I want to get back on topic. Derek Smith told me one day I will beat Travis Bagent. If I flew Derek Smith to your house today, when I see the videos and I see his team, and there's a lot of respect for him, around him and what he knows, how close is it I put you guys up a best of 5?
It depends on, I'm a nice guy.
Today.
Yeah, I absolutely
as is.
Rape and pillage the entire Smith family if I want to. I could hold Derek Smith down, take his money, put his daughter in the corner and tell her to stay in the corner and for 2 hours, and then your dad's going to come get you. And he would say, do what the beast said. Do what the beast said.
So
but I do want you to know, Derek's a good buddy of mine. Like when I come to California or to Phoenix, Arizona, or to Las Vegas, Derek's the first phone call. Well, third phone call to see what he's up to. Derek is the very best Cooper Tire helper that I could ever have. Like, he's so big, he can flip that bumper plate like it's a Frisbee. He can handle that sledgehammer like it's a.
Oh, wow. So there's a tie-in. He's worked with you on.
That's my dog. Yes.
Oh,
good dude.
So okay. So the point is, message to Paul Italia. Is it Italia or Italia?
Paul, I'm not sure. Paul, I say Italia, but who knows?
Message to Paul Italia.
Right.
You know, Derek has been chasing that dream for 10 plus years. Still hasn't caught that rabbit. So your dream hasn't even made up 1 year. I told him when I met him, he was 20 years away. 10 years later, he's still 20 years away. So you need to have patience, Paul. If you want to be in the sport and you want to chase after the big guys, it may take a while and still may never eat dinner.
Ever. You will never, ever, ever do it.
Okay.
Ever. Listen up. Everybody in here, shut the fuck up. Every single thing that you know about arm wrestling before is gone. We're going to do this way. And this is what we did. We had 10 refs, right? All in their ref uniform. A guy would walk up the stairs. He would get introduced. Hey, how you doing? I'm Steve Pettis. You say, hey, nice to meet you. I'm Gary Roberts. He would take your paper. You had already filled it out front. He took you to one of the 6 set of scales, just Walmart scales, right? Put you on the scale, put the weight, 231 pounds, walked you over to the registration booth, gave your ticket to Karen and Frank to put you in the bracket, and then took you over to the cashier, got your shirt, you paid, you walked out. He went back and got another guy, and we had 10 of them just rocking like that, right? It was so, and I told Steve, I'm like, listen, everyone's going to think we're special because of the weigh-ins. If we're smart, next year, this 1.5 hour weigh-in will lead into a banquet room where there will be food and super matches that night. That's the most exciting thing in the world. Can you imagine a 1 hour time frame, 400 arm wrestlers rush in, have a seat, there's a buffet, and then bam, the women's super matches take place for the next hour before we start the next morning with all the open tournament. I mean, awesome stuff.
Can I say, hold on. What, for reference, what year was this?
My daughter was born at that tournament 5 weeks early on June 8th, 2000. What's Valen's birthday? What is today? It's 2016, 2020. So 2015. 2015, June 8th, June 7th, 2015, because I watched my daughter being born while John Brzenk and Doug Allen are arm wrestling, and I'm on the microphone announcing the tournament as Molly's got the phone up to Casey, and I'm like, God. What am I watching here? Tears coming down my eyes, crazy. And it gets crazier, dude. The story gets crazier.
Okay, can I I need to tell, since we're on so when Game of Arms began and WAL began, there was some arm wrestlers who were like telling these guys, oh, you got to get Gary Roberts involved. And I think at one point they were like, we can give you a camera and you'll just be, I think of myself as a producer, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Not just the camera guy. And I felt slighted, like that they were just putting me on like, just one of the labor guys. And I could, by this event that you're talking about, how I kind of felt was I was on like I missed the cruise leaving. I was on the coast. I was at the deck where I was supposed to board a ship with the big dreams going off, and the ship was leaving without me. That's kind of like my perspective was like, I was like, I'd been working for CrossFit now for a few years. I was heavily involved with doing CrossFit work, so it didn't enabled me to do a lot of arm wrestling work, and it just kind of, it snowballed the separation of me from the sport. So while you guys are all seeing the dreams happening, I'm watching the ship sail off without me. Anyways,
I'm with you.
go on.
All right, so so you can imagine, right? I've lost my job, right? I'm getting $10,000 to run this tournament, so I'm happy about that. But here's what I'm doing before any of that is I've got this scheme, right? The scheme is to show Steve Kaplan a business plan that the day after this tournament in Vegas, it's going to be put into place where I will no longer be available unless I am compensated accordingly. So I got this Jewish buddy in New Jersey. Ellie Reichman's his name, stud, right? Hits me up as the game of arms as soon as it starts. And he's like, dude, I don't know if this is the Travis Bagent that I watched on the Game of Arms, but you're amazing. Let me know if you ever need any business knowledge or, I'm really good at raising money and, for people. So of course I'm on the dude. I'm like, what's up, playa? So we get this, and just like me and you, like me and Savan, one phone call turns in to we're all boys, right?
Yeah.
And then, and still to this day, Ellie's like my man. So Ellie says, listen, Travis, you're a superstar. Superstar. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
He said, you should be like, let's start a business. You tell me your dreams about arm wrestling. Let me put them on this paper and let me come up with this business plan. And I'm not talking about a regular business plan. I'm talking about a business plan with so many numbers in it. And if you change one number on page 2, it changes every number from 2 to 39, right? I'm like, all right. So we start into it. And I mean a real business plan. Have you ever done a real business plan?
Fuck no.
Can you imagine that I've never done a business plan, right?
Yeah.
This guy this is the best business plan guy you ever seen, right? So I'm equipped. So this tournament happens, right? And in my hotel room is this binder, 200-page binder of the Travis Bagent arm wrestling Jewish buddy fucking business plan, right? And when I say Jewish, I'm only saying that because Ellie is speaking the same language Steve Kaplan's speaking, right? They're both Jewish guys, right? So when
I don't know what that means.
Means when I hear the word Jewish, that means you got some money and you know how to move the business, the numbers. You're way cooler than me, right?
Okay.
Make sure that we know there is no weird anti-Semitism. It's stud, okay?
Yeah.
So I've got this stud business plan to give to a stud business guy, right? So I'm running this tournament, Gary. I've never in my life been so on point, right? I'm in Vegas. I've got 15 tables showing up. I'm putting them together outside. I've got a 20-person staff. I'm running these motherfuckers like the most well-oiled machine you ever seen. I've got 3 tables, right? I've got 3 sections of tables. One setup is 2 tables with the little triangle split off with the scores table there. That scores table's got Frank Bean and an assistant and a microphone. They are running those 2 tables. On the other side of the triangle, Karen Bean's there with her microphone running 2 tables. Up on the other atrium in another room, Bob Brown's running the 198-pound class, the biggest class in the other room. We've got 3 hours to run 400 arm wrestlers down to the final 36, right? They crush that. Everybody ends right at 4 o'clock. We take an hour-and-a-half break. We let everybody back in at 6 o'clock. We run the finals so perfectly. We get done that night. I came there, I was 241 pounds. Or no, I was 257 pounds the day I stepped on the scale, right? Not arm wrestling, just running a tournament. The 2 days later, before I leave Vegas, I'm 231 pounds. right? Like,
What?
I crushed it. Anxiety, working. My kid gets born, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm going through some shit, right? The next morning.
Hold on, pause. At any point, were you wishing you didn't take this job and you just arm wrestled?
Never. Except I just wish that my wife wouldn't have went in labor, because it made you feel like a douchebag that you're not home when your kid's being born. But 5 weeks premature kind of justifies it a little bit, right? But not much, right? Still scary, terrible situation. However, I also know that I'm going to find out here in 10 hours whether I have replaced this income that I've lost, right?
Yeah.
Crush this tournament, and I mean crush it.
And so, just to set it up, you're not a big saver, right? Like me, I'm a paycheck to paycheck kind of guy.
I've got $14.30 in my savings account.
Yeah. So guys like us, when the paycheck stops, it stops. Like,
now listen, Gary, I will tell you this: I am gangster. Okay, so I am not afraid to start selling weed again. Okay, but I don't want to do that. Right? Like, I got kids, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to do the right thing. Plus, because of CrossFit, they're used to a standard of living at this point too, right? Like, we're balling. So I run this tournament, and I mean, I crushed it. It was the best tournament to date that I've ever been involved in. And I'd also be very surprised if it's not by far the best event that the WL's ever had. Right? Now, I could be wrong, but in your next few months, you should always ask your people, did you guys go to that the House of Blues tournament in Vegas? How awesome was it? Awesome. Even awesome to where Karen Bean, Bob Brown are working together. Awesome. You know what I mean? Like, no problems, right? They all got their microphone. I'm up in this atrium so I can see everything, and I've got my master mic too, and I'm giving the commentating table to table. Just awesome shit, right? We get done. The next morning, Steve Kaplan, he says, hey, I'll meet you for lunch or breakfast at 10 a.m. Me, you, and Dan Alani want to sit down and discuss everything. Plus, you need to get paid and all this. So I get there, I sit down, I hand him this binder.
Wait, are you scared to hand him the binder?
No.
I'd be scared.
No.
No?
Dude,
I'd be so scared.
I just crushed it. When I tell you I crushed it, and these guys spent half of my salary on lights for this thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, there is plenty of cash, and I'm telling you, there has never been more of a #1 draft pick for these guys. I am a fucking heaven to these guys, right? Every single thing that they wanted, I already had it done. And then I went above and beyond all the expectations. Plus, because of the game of arms and the hype, man, there's so many people. It's crazy, right? Crazy. Yeah. So I sat down. I give them the binder. I'm 230 pounds at this time. You know, I done sacrificed my kid being born for these two guys, right? They're like, so we just, we were talking here, and we just want you to let you know that, I mean, man, you did a great job. You did a great job, right? And they start pouring it on. And they're like, so tell us what you want. I'm like, it's very simple. I need to make $100,000. So that's what I'm going to do. I have this business plan, and the money is there. All I have to do is say yes to this thing. But it's going to be a lot more work than what you guys have going on. You guys are already here. You guys know I have the skills. Da-da-da-da-da. And then he flips through the pages a couple times, realizes that it's a real one, right? Then I see him open up to the end, flips through a couple times, closes it, and says, okay, I think we can make that happen. I said, well, that's perfect.
He didn't want to read that.
I said, well, what's the time frame? He says, well, I can give you your first month's now. And I said, well, do you know how much it is? He said, it's $8,334 a month is the $100,000 a year. I said, no problem. So the guy gives me $10,000, right, for running the tournament. Then he writes me a check for $10,000 more. And he said, listen, the rest of the month it'll be $8,334, but you did a great job. So I went from walking down there to grab my $10,000 for crushing it to getting $20,000 and the $8,334 a month contract.
Wow, bro. Congratulations.
That relationship
Congratulations, man.
That relationship lasted for 2 years. I ran 4 or 5 events for him, including the ones that I hired people, but then I arm wrestled. You know what I mean? Shit like that. Like 2016, when I won, I hired all the staff. I just stayed away from them because they thought it was be important for me to actually participate, so they could come up with all that stuff, right? Which is fine.
Like the format was there anything different? I can't remember. Like, was it regular?
Not a whole lot. The most important thing that I wanted them to know is how afraid arm wrestlers are of really showing how good they are on the national stage. So I told them, I'm like, the day that we can bring 500-600 arm wrestlers together, but split them up, not only in weight classes, but geographical location as well, is the day that we are really going to flourish. He's like, well, what do you mean by that? I'm like, okay, the guy who runs an arm wrestling practice at his house usually is in the top 3 or 4 in his area. He has those guys believing, his little crew, that he's top 3 or 4 in everybody's area. But the truth is, he's not. He's pretty good in his local thing. His perception of your league is very important if he has practice at his house, because he controls the 26 lives and brains of the people at practice. If you can get this guy to come to your tournament and he finishes good, he's going to go home telling all of his guys how awesome the WAL is.
So I've been reading online, like, oh, Travis Bagent is like a scientist of arm wrestling. You just dropped a little like kernel of knowledge that, like, on the promoter side that I haven't ever heard. And it's like, wow, that's.
We hope you like the content. Thanks for stopping by. Please leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe. Now click that little bell icon so you get notified. This was Gary Roberts and Travis Bagent live.
Damn it!
Do something else. Don't ever say them 2 names to me.